Good morning and welcome to AI Media's first Investor Day. On the call today, we have a number of AI Media's senior management team. But first, I'll pass over to Tony Abrahams, the founder and CEO, to kick off the day. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Simon. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Investor Showcase. My name is Tony Abrahams, and it's my privilege to serve as the CEO of AI Media. I co-founded AI Media 18 years ago, and I'm humbled to be joined now by the caliber of leaders across the business that you will meet today. Located around the world and across time zones, we are nonetheless a close-knit group, aligned and committed to the unique opportunity of making the world's content accessible for everyone. The format of today's session will actually be a mix of pre-recorded presentations from our key executives in two sections, with two live Q&A sessions after each of those halves. The first group will include sales, marketing, product, and technology. We'll then have a Q&A. The second group includes people, finance, and a discussion of our Q1 results that we released to the market yesterday. You can ask a question at any time in the Q&A panel, which will be moderated by Simon Hinsley. For those of you who may be less familiar with our business, AI Media is a global live captioning, transcription, and translation technology company. Our proprietary cloud-based platform translates speech into text in multiple languages using a combination of artificial and human intelligence and machine learning. It's certainly been a busy year since we listed. We delivered on our prospectus forecasts with strong growth in all markets. We also announced the strategic expansion of our product suite with the launch of our market-leading Smart Lexi live captioning technology. Finally, the groundbreaking acquisition of EEG, a leading North American provider of video and captioning technology. This EEG acquisition has absolutely transformed AI Media to be a one-stop shop, a truly vertically integrated business, which has an increasing proportion of revenue coming from software as a service. Our AI Media FY22 strategy map is set, communicated, and in operation. With this organizational focus, we've outlined our strategy goals and initiatives and how we can capitalize on our competitive differences that position us for success. Our goal this morning is to offer you a window into how we're executing on that strategy and driving long-term value for our shareholders. As CEO, I'm constantly engaging with our most important customers right around the world, getting a first-hand sense for the relative strength of our company, as well as the investments we need to continue to make to become even more valuable in serving our customers going forward. I'm also focused on driving excellence and discipline right across our business and ensuring that we are well positioned to execute on the four elements of our growth plan: driving profitable growth, succeeding with scale, building a winning team, and profitable innovation. Today, I'll introduce our leadership team, discussing how they work, where they fit in the AI Media ecosystem that position us as a leading global technology provider of captioning, transcription, and translation services globally. And with that, let's get started. And I'd like to introduce James Ward, our Chief Sales Officer, who's based in London.
Hi, I'm James Ward, Chief Sales Officer at AI Media. In my position, I have the responsibility for the leadership, direction, and performance of our global sales teams. And I'm accountable for the overall sales performance of the business against our targets and strategy map. In my 8 years with AI Media, I've seen many changes to the industry, the technology that drives it, and also to our customer base. So where we focus our time and effort now is key to the long-term success of the business. And what's really exciting is that with the recent acquisition of EEG, AI Media is in a position to service more customers in more ways in more countries around the world. Never before have we been in such a strong position to meet customer needs in a market that is evolving so rapidly. I'm committed to ensuring sustainable revenue growth by constantly reviewing our market position and mentoring our key personnel to ensure they have a strong understanding of the market, our customers, and the products and services we provide. So when developing our sales strategy, all of these important factors are considered as part of the overall solutions-based approach. And it is the full suite of solutions that we offer that is really making AI Media a standout company and differentiator in this market. We work with customers at an organizational level rather than just an individual level. What I mean by this is that although we work with individuals to provide them with accessible content in any language that they require it, our strategy is to actually implement the technology and services at the organizational level, so that all of their employees, all of their customers, and everyone who interacts with that organization, all the content that they produce, has access to it. And that's where the value is of working with AI Media. Yes, there are out-of-the-box solutions and technology that can be purchased off the shelf to transcribe, caption, and translate content. But if an organization wants to utilize technology inside a professional, high production value environment, then they need tools and solutions that seamlessly connect and interact with their other products and solutions within the business. This is particularly important in a market where video production and broadcast is going through a lot of change and development. Customers need to work with providers that can enable them to adapt and respond quickly to changes in the market and build new products that are going to help them transition into new ways of operating in the future. I've had the benefit of almost a decade of AI Media, but this doesn't mean that my knowledge and understanding about business, the industries we operate in, regulation, and competitors ever stops. I take an analytical approach to sales to ensure that I'm reviewing and analysing actual performance against target performance and KPIs. And this has proven to work really well in our organisation and is something we're continuing to focus on as we evolve and grow. Our sales teams spend a lot of time ensuring they have accurate forecasts and understanding of their pipeline business, which gives us confidence we're achieving our plan and strategy. Working closely with the executive team and other departments within AI Media gives me great confidence that we're continuing on our strong growth path. And I'm excited to see how this enables us to have a greater impact and presence in global markets. Thank you.
Thanks, James. And James, thank you also for being online late at night tonight in London to answer questions that our investors may have. And with that, I will throw now to Olivia Nixon, our Head of Marketing.
Hi, I'm Olivia Nixon, the VP of Marketing at AI Media. The world of marketing is forever evolving and innovating. The pervasiveness of the internet and social media have given rise to much needed advancements in marketing analytics, systems for social media and content management, marketing automation platforms, and customer relationship management software. And in turn, exponentially increased companies' ability to identify their customers and anticipate their needs, wants, and preferences, both online and off. To stay competitive and in fact surge ahead of our competition, we must speak a quantitative language, which entails being active in collecting data, fluent in analysing it, and skilled at translating its implications into actionable strategies. Consumers are more likely to buy, trust, or champion companies with a strong brand purpose in the era of conscious consumption. At AI Media, our purpose has always been clear and is illustrated for all to see through our company vision, making the world's content accessible for everyone. My ambition is to help drive strategy around non-traditional areas, and more often working closely with our Chief People Officer, Donna Reid, to shape the overall employer brand purpose and employee value proposition through storytelling. In addition, I'm working hand in glove with our CTO, Megan Hemingway, CSO, James Ward, and CPO, Bill McLaughlin, to ensure that the right technology, services, and sales approach are in place to deliver our digital strategy and first-class consumer experience. Over the last 2 years, we have grown substantially, thanks to a strategy driven by values and the ability to cultivate a loyal following of like-minded customers, while we also look to scale. Through our CRM systems and voice of the customer surveys, we have access to those customer behavior and purchasing data so we can augment our qualitative judgments with quantitative data. With the increased ability to quantify marketing targets and outcomes, the effectiveness of our marketing activity has become so much more tangible, and we can justify strategies and demonstrate concrete results. Collaborative environments breed innovation, As my team grows in capability and numbers, I'm keen to be more things to many more people, including the voice of the customer to the board, the driver of traffic to our website, and the architect of an ever-improving customer experience. With the rise of social media, customers speak with a louder voice, reach a wider audience, and are engaged in a constant cycle of influencing and being influenced by one another. With the increased command of customer experience insights through the use of digital marketing technology, my team and I are steadily positioning ourselves as the company's agent for growth. Working with the wider leadership team, two of our key initiatives is to improve customer experience and build out our pipeline. While data can inform decision-making, it is only one part of the puzzle. Me, my team, and my colleagues must interpret that data effectively and use our creativity and judgment to implement actionable strategies that will move AI media forward. We are in a great position to do just that, with a clear strategy developed and the right talented people to execute it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Olivia, and thanks also, Oliv, for being live. We've got two more of the pre-recorded segments before we'll open up to that first Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please do pop them in the Q&A panel. Next, I'd like to introduce our Chief Product Officer, Bill McLaughlin. Bill is based in New York and came with us into the role during the EEG acquisition in May. Over to you, Bill.
Good morning. I'm Bill McLaughlin, Chief Product Officer at AI Media, a recent appointment having led the EEG product and engineering teams for the past 8 years. My career has always been characterized by transitions in changing industries as waves of disruption have been creating upheaval and opportunity in the media and entertainment and enterprise video spaces. The past decade in live broadcasting began with transitions to HD video and saw the growth of broadcast services into cloud, ultra-high definition 4K and 8K resolution, IP video production, and large advances in AI. At EEG, we've strived to respond to these transitions and forward plan for what we think will come next to position our products and our clients at the optimal point for technology adoption. In enterprise video, the global pandemic has driven unprecedented upheaval, with organizations having to use video to do everyday business, rapidly scaling the systems that support video and the important supplier relationships powering inclusion and accessibility of their content. With the addition of EEG, AI Media is now a one-stop shop and the global leader in all three critical elements for providing live captioning accessibility in media and entertainment. We provide AI-based speech-to-text services, human typists, interpreters, and researchers, and video interface technology for placing captions and subtitles in professional media production workflows. Our product strategy focuses on targeted applications of AI tools into high-value opportunities in media and enterprise video, where out-of-the-box automatic transcriptions and translations just won't do, and where a deep knowledge of video production workflow, particularly in live content, is necessary to collect model training, to collect schedule automation data, and to merge the highest accuracy captions with ultra-low latency into secure and low fault tolerance broadcast environments. In addition to disruption from AI, professional media production is migrating rapidly to software-based IP standards and maturing as an IT and cloud sub-industry. EEG products provide leadership in these transitions, while the cascading disruptions make it the right time to be a highly consolidated global supplier, as everything from technical delivery standards to content ownership in media becomes globalized, outgrows isolated regional markets, and shifts towards standardization of vendors and practices. AI Media has the global team, technology, and key customer relationships to be a winner-takes-all player in this market as we flex our one-stop shop capability. AI Media's products targeting enterprise are also a strong focus, with global growth in high-budget streaming and hybrid corporate events. Marketers producing these events are seeking accessibility and watch from anywhere language services, which AI Media is able to offer at a premium quality level and with technology that integrates directly into the multiplying viewing platforms and experiences that host the events online and in person. I'm very excited to lead this global team into the next stage of AI Media's growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and thanks also for being online with us now in New York. There'll be one more presentation. That's from Megan Hemingway, our Chief Technology Officer, and then we will throw to that first Q&A. And Bill, before we throw to Megan, just wanted to highlight that great success that you had with NBC, with the Olympics and Paralympics, for the very first time successfully extending our semi-automated Smart Lexi product to sport. There was no greater sporting event than the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. And in fact, the NBC production on Peacock was the most watched television event ever, with over 150 million people. So with that, I'll throw to Megan, and then we'll launch into the Q&A. Thanks, Megan.
Hi, my name is Megan Hemingway, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer at AI Media. I've worked at AI Media for 18 months. And before that, I headed up the IT department at the Australian national broadcaster, Channel 7. In my short period of time with AI Media, the company's had 4 acquisitions and is listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. As a spiritual leader and maintainer of technical culture, coming on board was a bit like running an audit, meeting and talking to people to understand how things work, assessing strengths and weaknesses, to ultimately produce not only a strategic plan, but also to develop the team to be able to effectively drive and implement that plan. The process has seen my team grow from 4 to over 20. At the same time, our user base has increased from about 300 to over 900. Gives you a feel for the size of change that we're going through. Our work starts with building capability. That capability brings moments when you get people that say, wow, didn't know you could do that. Or even better, I didn't know I could do that. Software isn't enough on its own. It's only as good as the value users can get from it. And being able to give people those wow moments is what keeps me coming back for more. As a team in growth mode, we've solved a lot of problems that have been said to be impossible, or at least really difficult. And every time, it's such a great feeling that it motivates the team to try and do it again and again. And that's why we're focused on creating efficient foundations that can readily scale with us as we grow, providing sustainability. We want to be able to go faster, and we want to be able to do it for a sustained period of time. So we're building solid foundations in applications, data, engineering, information security, support, and technology operations. Just like the rest of the leadership team, I appreciate the world-changing potential of language and believe that AI Media is best positioned to lead and drive to make the world's content accessible to everyone. We expect many great things to come in the near future with the dedication of the teams I have the pleasure of leading. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. And if I can ask all of the AI leadership team to pop their videos on now, and we'll just throw over to the live Q&A, which Simon will moderate.
Great, thanks, Tony. First question is, can you please talk to the market opportunity for Smart ASR to expand into live sports? How does live sport increase the addressable revenue for this product offering?
That's a great question. So just to frame that up, so when we launched Smart ASR back in April, we were very clear that what the automatic speech recognition required was clean audio coming in. And that was something that TV news does really well, but sport does really badly because you've got background noise, you've got player names, you've got even public address background noise coming through, which the automatic speech recognition system is going to try and interpret the best it can. And it's going to come up, and it had historically come up with some pretty bad results. But Bill in New York came up with quite an innovative proposal to NBC for them to actually do some work to test whether the smart ASR or Smart Lexi, as we've upgraded that product to since the EEG acquisition, to really work in partnership with them so that by them making some changes, and I'll let Bill explain a bit more of the detail on that in just a sec, but with a small investment at their end to get us audio that's essentially better adapted to that Smart Lexi product, we were able to cut their captioning bills by 50%. And it's that sort of level of partnership that's really seeing that market for our SaaS products, Lexi and Smart Lexi in particular, expand perhaps even quicker than we thought just a few months ago. So Bill, I might throw to you now and just see if you can give a bit more detail on that partnership with NBC for the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to use Smart Lexi in sports, and especially some sports things that are like Olympics or World Championships, where it's not athletes necessarily who are all household names. And so being able to train for a specific event and having the expertise to, research all the different international names, that's something that you're just really not going to see out of the box dictionaries from any company or vendor be able to supply. And I think you're going to need to supply some of the research and some of the legwork to really understand that, because that's something that humans have always had to supply in live broadcasts of the Olympics, is to go in and really learn about who these athletes are to be able to tell the stories. I also think that Smart Lexi and Smart ASR has a lot of potential when you're looking at sports, because an important thing to understand in the sports broadcasting landscape is how much the same sports events are now being repurposed and repackaged to be delivered as OTT events outside of the primary market, or to certain niche or smaller scale audiences. Again, aside from just the big TV deals, there's only so much money and only so much viewer space on the big TV deals, in any country or set of countries. But, increasingly these products are being kind of sliced and diced, and you can get minor league teams or local teams, and you can get sports from around the world to fans that, in the past wouldn't have really been able to access the content at all. And when you're going to put accessibility or language translation services on this content, it can be the same game, but it needs accessibility services all over again. And those services are, we're talking about new cutting edge software driven broadcasters who are going to be looking for a software driven workflow and looking to kind of break out of the most traditional ways of doing this transcription and translation. So I think it's an incredible Smart Lexi opportunity.
Yeah, I think if I can just add to what Bill's saying there, from a sales perspective specifically, we're seeing a lot of traction in the sports industry, and we recently attended an event called Sportel in Monaco, which was an in-person event, which happened there in Monaco, which was great, and we got a lot of response from the customers there, from new platforms that we hadn't necessarily even heard of at this stage before attending the event. So I think when you look at a market like this, and there are new platforms, new providers that are coming into the market, as Bill said, to kind of take a piece of the kind of wider pie. They want to make their content accessible to a bigger audience as possible, and that brings in language, it brings in multiple streams at the same time that is broadcasting at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, for example. You've got multiple games happening at once. How do you scale that? How do you make that accessible? How do you make it more accessible to more markets in a cost-effective way, and using the Smart Lexi tool can really drive that. So I think we're seeing that, and the other thing that should always be mentioned right now in this landscape is esports. Another $1 billion market, where again looking to attract greater audiences, looking to distribute content more broadly, and we're seeing some traction there in how they can use our technology to actually make their content more engaging and accessible.
Great, thanks, guys. Next question, probably for you, Bill. Can you outline the progress of EEG into global sales since the acquisition?
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of big customer wins in places that I think EEG is a standalone company, really very centralized in the United States, would have had trouble reaching these customers. I mean, the AI media brand is extraordinarily powerful in Australia, especially. That it's really, there's been the highest quality captioning delivered out of AI media for a lot of years. And I think we've seen a lot of excitement from the Australia broadcast community that kind of, wow, you guys are able to deliver more of the full package now, more of the technology that enables the captioning, and kind of not just, provide third-party technologies and provide your transcription services. So we've had a really good experience with that in Australia. We've had some good customer leads and some good sales in EMEA. And I think that it's something that's only in a couple of months, where I think we're really still ramping up the real training for the sales teams, because the EEG product can be a technical sale. And I think the salesmen need to really understand who they're speaking to and what the benefits of the product are. But we're seeing that as that pipeline gets going, I think, we're seeing a really great response to it.
James, you maybe, so I might just ask James to chime in there as well in terms of what he's seeing in terms of that sales pipeline with the EEG, and maybe also bring in this year's trade show, the National Association of Broadcasters in Las Vegas was actually cancelled due to a kind of a Delta outbreak. We were going to be a very strong presence there, as EEG has traditionally been for decades, actually. But we did, in its place, launch a virtual webinar series that was very, very well attended. And we got some really interesting feedback from sort of clients at the front end. So James, might be a good idea to bring some of that into the response as well.
Yeah, I think to talk about how EEG as in a holistic offering, we've started to talk to our customers about how they can now access different options for kind of a more complete delivery, and the response to I guess our messaging in say EMEA, for example, over the last 2-3 months of we've been servicing you with live captioning, with human captioners for X amount of years now. You can also add a more scalable product in a Lexi or Smart Lexi product to enable you to capture more of your content, more broadly. And the response to that has been quite remarkable, really, in terms of interest. And what it's also enabled us to do is open up conversations with new departments within larger organizations. So I think, traditionally with AI media, we've serviced different teams within different organizations, but with EEG coming on board, it has opened us up to having conversations on a different level in sort of the technical teams, or the broadcast distribution teams that now exist, within a lot of these, bigger organizations, where they are outsourcing their broadcast, distribution and live events to organizations that therefore want to partner with us to implement new technology that is going to, help that organization continue to evolve. And that's been really encouraging, and I think in Australia, where we've as Bill said, we've got a strong brand with AI media, we've seen exactly the same, and in fact a lot of the kind of early kind of increase in sales that we've seen from EEG products into the APAC region has been quite encouraging, and I think we're set to see more of that. Oh, sorry, Tony, just to address the NAB webinars as well, because that was a really well run and well attended I guess marketing piece that we did. And I think it's a demonstration as well of how we're kind of demonstrating that we are a business that is able to kind of still access customers, despite global pandemics and conference shows and shutdowns. We're, our services and our solutions that we provide actually, really complement the kind of virtual world and online world that we're experiencing. And I think that's why, we were able to attract such a large audience to still come to our webinars and showcases of the technology that we plan to display at the NAB show. And since then, we've had a high volume of follow-ups for product demos and conversations around the different products that were on show there.
And Simon, I might just add there, obviously, that the focus here really is still on pipeline. We're still only sort of 4 months into the EEG acquisition, and a lot of the great activity that we're seeing right now from the sales teams around the world hasn't yet been reflected in the numbers, and that work we will start to see in coming quarters.
All right, thanks, Tony. Next question is from Nick Harris at Morgans. Hi, team. Just on the competitive landscape, now that you have a holistic offering, are there any competitors that have the full suite like AI Media?
No. Not at all.
Black and white answer.
Yeah, I mean, look, just to colour those lines in a bit more, Nick, and sorry for being a bit cute on the answer. The EEG product suite is so ubiquitous in the United States. And I mean, it's priced at a very affordable level, right? Like you can effectively get a box for one channel for $10,000. A lot of the rest of the hardware and infrastructure market, it just wasn't big enough for people to try to muscle their way into. And Bill, you might be able to give a bit more color, because I know there were a few competitors a couple of years ago. But by focusing on what was a very, very narrow problem to solve, which was around the video encoding and the caption encoding, and doing it in a way that was incredibly cost effective, it became the default standard in US broadcast, to the point where that ICAP platform is now used so ubiquitously in the United States that Nielsen, the ratings agency, actually get the data on what channels people are watching through the ICAP network, which is the EEG cloud. And what the EEG team have done is they've taken what was initially very much a bespoke US broadcasting standard back in the analog days, where it was NTSC, which had a different number of frames per second, to PAL, which is what we use in Australia and what's used in Europe, and Japan had a different standard, and so on. Well, when Bill spoke about the technology transition, from HD to 4K, what they also did is that they made sure that what once was an isolated US-based platform was capable of delivering for all digital platforms globally. And that is something that Bill personally has led that transition over the last 5 to 10 years at EEG. And that was the point at which I think, and then when they overlaid the Lexi service to deliver such an improved accuracy over the out-of-the-box automatic speech recognition solutions, that was when Phil and Bill at EEG said, right, okay, we've got to now get this technology global. And that was part of the motivation behind them running that sale process, which was just done a couple of months after we listed last year. But Bill, I might just throw to you to give a bit more perhaps of that history and why there are no relevant competitors in that space.
Yeah, I think from a product perspective, it comes from looking at the whole problem and looking at, what the customer views as the solution set around captioning and accessibility, especially talking about the broadcast market here, as opposed to kind of what a company might think that, what they know how to do. And, to make that concrete, you can make a caption encoder that you plug into a video plant. And, that's a piece of hardware. It's basically, EEG in the first days, many decades ago, really was the peer market was more like military and communication electronics. And you go, that's its own specialty, providing transcriptions and providing stenography, right? That's its own specialty. It doesn't sound like it has a lot to do with communication electronics. At the same time, providing AI and automatic speech recognition, that kind of a data platform, that's its own specialty that doesn't have a lot to do with communication electronics or have a lot to do with stenography and, voice re-speaking or any of that. So I think that what unites these things is the customer application and the customer need for the accessible solution, which is really tied together in a lot of ways, not just by practice, but by a regulatory need. And so the market kind of has a form that I think, especially as EEG and AI media, we're very well suited to that market. And not a lot of companies are well suited to compete across that full range of things, because there's actually a lot of individual sources of knowledge, experience, expertise, and ability to operate that services business. So I think that in that sense, that's why it's hard, and that's why it's unique.
Great. Thanks, Bill. Next question from Nick Harris. Just on live broadcast, they had a difficult year last year due to lockdowns, etc. Has this segment seen a rebound yet, or is it parts of the other business that are delivering the growth?
No, it has absolutely rebounded, and it's also it's rebounded with the existing customers, but we've also acquired a few new customers. James, did you want to maybe give a view there on what you're seeing, particularly in broadcast?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think we've certainly seen live broadcast in particular, be one of our kind of strongest revenue growth lines in Europe over the last 12 months. And that's been a combination of it kind of rebounding a bit, but also, from a company perspective, starting to win more contracts in this space, and that's not just in the English language, that's in multi-language delivery, which is an important kind of addition to this, because the EEG equipment that we've installed at these broadcasters as we've won these contractors is enabling us to have more flexibility over how we deliver the content and how we deliver the captioning, and that has really been a bit of a step change for us in certainly the EMEA business, in that now we have longer, more secure broadcast contracts that are contributing to the overall revenue growth. So yes, I think definitely there. And then equally, we're seeing now more expansion into the APAC region in live broadcast, with EEG equipment has been been some recent wins that we've had there, and in addition again to that, looking at the smart Lexi delivery for those customers that are looking to upgrade or even just implement for the first time their captioning solutions.
And TVSN, the shopping network, was one that we announced yesterday on that one.
Yes. Yeah.
You might even want to question the premise of how challenged live broadcast has been by the pandemic. I think it's been a mixed result, because the amount of time in most places in the world that sports and live entertainment was really off TV was fairly limited. Everyone, I think, was watching a lot. There's, if you can't get the equipment into the plant due to lockdowns, component shortages, any of that's going to be an issue. On the other hand, I think that's something that's gonna, the equipment needs aren't going to go away. So that's something that I think we would expect to spring back kind of as soon as possible. The other thing about, broadly, right, all of the all of the live news, all of the press conferences, all of the health department conferences, that's all live broadcasting that needs to be captioned. And broadly, as people are watching all kinds of entertainment at home, not just on the traditional television channels, I think an important thing to realize is that our business scales with the number of television channels that exist. And I define television very, very broadly there. But so when the same number of viewers watch more independent channels, that's really better for us than the same number of viewers watching only a handful, because each of those channels, they need their own infrastructure for production and they need their own captioning.
Great, thanks, Bill. Just a question on sub-silo. Are there any further cases or market opportunities, court transcripts, etc.? And can you just explain how it differs from the current product line?
Yeah, absolutely. So this product line was actually one that was created particularly for the use cases of Parliament. And it was really, I guess, part of that overall technology design that we've always maintained throughout all of our products, which is to get the accuracy of the captioning right at source as quickly as possible. And, we do it live. And then when that text is accurate and is live, you can do so much more with that data afterwards. And this is really the application that we saw for Parliament. So again, it'll be a mix of James, I think, and Bill tackling this one. Megan and Liv, I'm sure someone's got a question for you guys as well. But James, I mean, you were quite close to the UKP implementation there, which was our first index customer, and really, I think, a sense of just how neat this kind of product market fit is with captioning and Hansard.
Yeah, this sub-silo is a really exciting opportunity for us, and it's evolved quite quickly. As Tony said, the UK Parliament was kind of the first use case, and what was interesting as we kind of got into the development of it and kind of eventual rollout, and it's now live and has been since early June. Is the multiple use cases, and one, yes, it provided the access to the content that Parliament were after, but it actually gave them multiple benefits and cost savings in terms of their Hansard reporters that were using the live caption transcripts to develop their transcripts in a more efficient way, to also creating an API, or we creating an open API for journalists and media organizations to also access the platform and kind of pull down transcripts and download and share as part of their media outlet. So the kind of multiple levels of application are growing, and then quite quickly following the UK Parliament launch, we then saw interest from other parliaments across Australia, and have been then successful in using this platform to also give the same benefits to them. So I think Parliament definitely, but I see this product as really having a wide range of use cases. If you think about the number of meetings that happen, one of our customers, Shell, out of Netherlands, are doing 400 broadcasts a month. And we're discussing with them about how sub-silo could actually help them to capture all of those meetings in a more kind of uniformed way, where they can be searched, they can be downloaded, they can be shared, translated into other languages, and then, as Tony said, edited to kind of bring up accuracy where required. And Bill's probably thinking I'm running away with the sales ideas here on where product's going to follow, but it really does give that extra level of kind of ownership from an organization or a government department, where it delivers on an accessibility front, which is critically important in all of these organizations, but then actually has more value beneath that then makes the cost of purchasing this platform much more achievable. So yeah, Bill, you might want to rein me in a bit on where it's going, but But yeah.
No, I mean it's a really good direction. I mean the municipal governments market is fairly large when you look at the number of states and different localities in the different countries we do business in. But then beyond that, it's also, as you say, it's a great fit with automatic captioning, for example, because I mean taking good notes, kind of a lost art, and we're having a situation where customers are, there's an ability to do fairly affordable transcription of things that are happening across meetings and organizations. But where does that data go? How does that really become searchable and usable? And so we're starting to step into that problem space for our customers. And I think that's something where we really can, provide a value that goes hand in hand with the accessibility value, which is, the kind of organization and personal efficiency value. How do we make sure we really get something out of these hours and hours of meetings that we go to every week?
Great. Thanks, Bill. Tony, we've still got a number of questions, but what we might do is just move on to the next segment, if you're happy with that, and then we'll return to the Q&A at the end.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so we might ask the team to go off video while we go back to the two more pre-recorded sessions. The first one is to introduce Donna Reid, our Chief People Officer. Donna's actually on leave this week and so isn't here live, but the rest of the team and I can take any questions on the people front as well. So over to Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Reid, Chief People Officer at AI Media. In a tight labour market and fierce competition for skilled workers, delivering a positive experience for candidates and employees has taken on a new importance. It is no secret that engaged employees are more productive, less likely to leave, and more driven to contribute to a company's goals. Indeed, an inability to attract and retain top talent can hamper an organisation's growth, hurt profitability, and create a negative brand experience in the marketplace. Therefore, our people team is firmly focused on profit with purpose and how that will thread through everything we do, from recruitment to performance management and into the wider culture as we continue to grow. My focus as Chief People Officer is driving and supporting the strategy and the processes related to building an exceptional team all over the globe. And while my team may actively advise and consult, we are also willing to roll up our sleeves and execute solutions and ensure that these efforts support the company's growth and bottom line while fulfilling the company's mission to make the world's content accessible for everyone. Working closely with Tony and Olivia, our VP of Marketing, it is our job to bring this culture to fruition through strategic storytelling. This meant ensuring that the company's values are reinforced with every initiative and every communication. I'm really excited about the growth we have achieved and our plans to efficiently scale further in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And then the last pre-record is from our CFO, John Bird. So over to John.
Welcome everybody, I'm John Bird, Chief Financial Officer at AI Media. Now I joined AI Media at the start of this year, almost immediately became involved in driving the acquisition of EEG. It's been a hectic time, but the success of this acquisition has increased AI Media's momentum in fulfilling what I personally consider very important, our vision of making the world's content accessible for everyone. Now as CFO, I bring quite a few decades of finance and operations experience to AI Media. This experience has been in both international and Australian ASX listed companies as they've pursued growth in Asia and the Americas. These companies have been focused on the application of technology to solve issues facing many of us, really not unlike AI Media. Success in my career has been from working with the wider team across the organisation to understand the value proposition that the company possesses, and of course to work with customers and technology to drive scalable solutions to exploit these opportunities. My experience in navigating high growth companies that are developing new business strategies and my operational understanding really ensures successful delivery of meaningful growth solutions for AI media. I really am passionate about driving this business growth for AI media. Now, I'm in a very fortunate position. I have an incredibly accomplished finance team, developing strong metrics that enable identification of asset performance, measuring the success of what we actually do. In conjunction with the acquisition of EEG, we've enhanced the asset base in both product and customers. I believe AI media now possesses the key requirements for success. Simply, these include a really strong team that identifies with the customer's needs and execution of deliverables, scalable operations with a focus on emerging technologies, and a strategic imperative of providing solutions to a real-world problem. With these strengths and commitment, AI media can fulfill its mission to be the clear leader in the captioning and translation space, creating solutions that enable every customer to successfully comply with accessibility requirements, while more importantly, changing people's lives along the way. This really is an exciting time for AI media. The depth of our product, the commitment of the entire team, and the incredibly supportive shareholders mean that AI media is poised to grow significant, and with that, be very successful. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, JB. What I'll do now is just run through the Q1 FY22 highlights. So I might see if I can take over that screen share. The document that I will be sharing from is the Morgan Stanley conference that we put up on the ASX site yesterday. And so just very briefly, I'm assuming you guys can see that screen share. Key highlights were 35% revenue growth versus Q1 FY21. This is inclusive of the acquisitions, but also inclusive of some products and services that we just weren't delivering this time last year. Really key metric here is the growth on our SaaS minutes. So 75% year-on-year growth for Lexi and Smart Lexi. The vast majority of that is basic Lexi, still being delivered to customers in the US, mainly US broadcast. Of course, it also includes some of that Smart Lexi and Smart ASR services that we began delivering back in April and May. Operating cash flow break even for the quarter, and 15.5 million in cash after accounting for some one-off transaction costs related to the EEG acquisition and the audit. Really excitingly, we've delivered on that promise of increasing gross margin. This time last year, that gross margin number was 39%. Now it's north of 50 and expected to continue to climb as we continue to sell more of our high margin SaaS products, as customers even spin down from some of the higher priced premium products because they're now able to utilize those automated and semi-automated services to deliver that exact level of access at half the price. And so that's a good transition, and a transition that we're managing, but obviously one that'll have an impact on the top line, but where we will actually see benefits come through in margin and EBITDA. Excitingly, we've also grown our SaaS portfolio with that really exciting product launch of Sub-Silo that we discussed a few minutes ago. And then as part of our prudent capital management plans, we've implemented also a modest buyback program so that we can take advantage of buying back shares when we think they're particularly undervalued by the market, as they have been in recent weeks. Key customer wins are really important to call out. I think they're all indicative of really where the business is going strategically. So they have an impact not just in terms of the key customers themselves, but also what it means for pipeline and further channel development. Microsoft Teams was a huge one. So this was only announced last week by Microsoft. And so Microsoft are one of those platforms that offer free automatic speech recognition embedded within the Microsoft platform. In fact, Microsoft themselves knew that they had to add that capability to deliver solutions that were better than out of the box. And we worked with them, much like we worked with Facebook back in 2017 to introduce live captions to the Facebook Live platform. We worked with Microsoft to make sure that the user experience and the ease of connecting premium captions was as seamless and as beneficial for the end user as possible. And it looks great. So we're really looking forward to that. It's not a direct customer win, it's a platform integration. So it's up to James, Olivia, and the sales and marketing teams now to help drive traffic through to our premium services for people who are on Microsoft Teams, which is around 250 million users worldwide. So definitely a big win, and we're just at the start. TVSN is a really interesting win. This is truly one of those one-stop shop wins that we couldn't have delivered but for the EEG acquisition. So TVSN have taken the EEG equipment and then they're layering on top of that the Smart Lexi service, and we will be going live with them in a few weeks' time. New South Wales Parliament, obviously a really big win, our second Parliament, and they will go live in the second half of this year, again, utilising the live captions and the sub-silo SaaS product. And then, as we have discussed, the NBC Olympics and Paralympics, where we were delivering Smart Lexi captioning at one point with up to 60 different channels. And we were able to curate that with a handful of people across those scores of channels, which in the past, if we were doing it in the premium way, would have taken at least one person per channel. So a lot more efficient and effective way of delivering captioning solutions at scale, and some really important index customers there this quarter. And then just a couple of slides on the outlook. If there's one slide that summarizes our mission and our strategy for sales growth, it's this slide here. It's taking that amazing EEG product suite global. There's a number of greenfield opportunities, particularly in Asia, where there is actually no captioning infrastructure in place and where there is a regulatory commitment to introduce that. That's our first kind of target, and we're working with local partners and distributors in each market so that we really do balance obviously the expertise that we have with the local knowledge of the market, which is super critical. And then I mentioned when we did our full year results that really the measure of success for us is going to be how much of that total pie can we increase the quality of the revenue? Can we increase the gross margin attributable to that revenue, and ultimately increase the scalability of the products through that truly SaaS model? And so we've seen that services percentage fall from 100 to 72. That's down from 76 in June, and we want to be, and we're targeting that number to be 50% by the end of FY23. So with that, I might pause and then hand back to Simon, ask the rest of the team to come back on video, and we'll open it up for all Q&A.
Great, thanks, Tony. Just a question that you might be able to direct. Can you please talk to the win rate for Smart Lexi versus competing products? Is it more about upselling existing customers or winning new customers?
It's both. I think, you know, the view on out-of-the-box ASR solutions, I know, for example, that Sky News looked at about a dozen different competitors for us before choosing Smart Lexi, and none of them even came close. They were all a lot cheaper, but they just didn't deliver the level of quality that was required. James, did you have anything you wanted to build on with that?
Yeah, I think it is definitely a mix. I mean, what we've found with existing customers that we've then pitched and discussed Smart Lexi with is that it reduces their cost. right? Ultimately, we can half their cost of delivery and still deliver a high quality product that, in the case of Sky News, where we were delivering with human premium captioners, and we launched the Smart Lexi product. There's an immediate financial benefit there that our customers are realizing. I think with new customers, though, success rate is very much at the moment in the kind of in the proof in what it does, and what we're aiming to do at the moment is really demonstrate to customers how this works, and how we can kind of roll this out to kind of deliver their needs. And an example of that is TVSN, who came up to have a captioning requirement from a regulatory point of view, looked at the product and kind of quickly assessed it, which is the great thing, is that it's pretty quick to kind of see the difference between the Smart Lexi product and other solutions such as the ones that Sky reviewed. So I think success rate is continuing to grow. I think for customers that are existing, by reducing cost, it's a really good sales pitch, and also for new customers who are either looking to kind of switch and reduce cost, or actually just implement something for the first time, which is again in the global market that we now operate in. There are more and more customers who are actually come into this for the first time, and in Asia, as Tony just mentioned on that slide there, that's a huge opportunity for us in kind of the EEG landscape.
Perfect. Question probably for you, JB, or Tony. Why launch a share buyback? What is the plans for the balance of the cash?
Well, I guess just briefly, and I will hand to JB to provide a bit of further commentary over the top on this, is that, as part of the capital allocation framework we've got, we're obviously looking at how much cash we have available, what are the near-term investments that we need to make, and what's going to be the projected cash balance through the year. Now, we achieved operating cash flow break even a little earlier than we'd forecast, so back in March of this year, and we just look at where we can invest shareholder capital at the moment, and looking at the intrinsic value of those shares, whether it's based on the analyst reports or whether it's based on our own internal forecasts, then 2 million out of that 15 million is a prudent investment for us to have in the back of just have that capability in the back pocket. But JB, obviously, a lot of people are saying, does this mean we haven't got other growth investments? And I think it's just ultimately about the numbers, right?
Look, Tony, just to add to that, not forgetting that we purchased EEG not that long ago. We invested significant numbers in purchasing that company, both cash and shares. So one of the key things we're doing is growing the company. A lot of it's going to be organic in the next 12 months. You therefore don't need a great cash float. We also, all indications are that we will be making significant cash across the next 9 months of the year. So whilst we're operationally break even, it's a quieter quarter, the first quarter, but we're also investing in growth strategies. We now have a pipeline. Some of the sales that we've spoken about earlier will come online across the next quarter, and there are incremental sales that we're expecting. All of this leads to us actually gaining more cash in our balance sheet by year end, and it just seems that it's very prudent to let the market know that we believe in the share price. Our indications are that the valuation is significantly higher than what the market's actually got, and part of that's the growth potential. Part of that is that we will continue to throw off cash. And probably the last thing is, if we are to make an acquisition, it probably won't occur in the next few months. It's we're always open to the right technology, and it would be more than likely a technology-based acquisition. And most of these could be partly cash funded and partly equity funded, just as we've done with the last 4 acquisitions.
Great. Thanks, JB. A couple of questions for Olivia. You discussed how your team use different strategies to position AI media for growth and improve customer experience. Can you please expand on this and give us examples of how AI media differentiates from its competitors?
Our strategic objectives are aimed at scaling processes and systems internally. So building efficiencies that will also have the impact of improving the customer experience. And we're also sharing knowledge and experience across the regions and between these acquired organizations. We acquired these businesses for a reason, and we're making sure that we achieve maximum benefit from them. We're also building out our content strategy and ensuring we're offering our diverse customer base the information they need when they need it. And we've noticed an increased demand for sustainable technology product services. So we're looking to revise our ESG strategies to ensure we always offer the most up-to-date product and provide our customers with the best possible experience. As far as differentiation with our competitors, I think, this company was started with a vision to help make the world's content accessible to everyone and focusing on inclusion of the deaf and hard of hearing community. That vision is still at the heart of what we do, but the difference now is, especially with our recent acquisition of EEG, is that AI Media has expanded to be that one-stop shop for all captioning, transcription, translation solutions. But it's across broadcast, corporate, government, and education, across locations and languages. I think it's the breadth and strength of our offering that really makes it difficult for our competitors to compete with us.
Right. Thanks, Olivia. Just another question for you. Could you please touch on the channels that your team uses to increase traffic to your website, discuss your conversion rate, and if you've seen improvements over time?
We're driving, it's a combination of a number of things. We're driving organic traffic by building out content on our website that's relevant to target customers. We're constantly working to increase awareness and drive direct traffic through involvement in activities such as events and sponsorships as they start to come back online, though we are prepared to do hybrid events and just online events. Also thought leadership opportunities, paid channels, investor days like this. We combine that with paid search, paid social, and we have a very regular email marketing plan. The conversion rate depends on channel, the audience, content, etc. But look, it's a metric we're always looking to improve. We're making concerted effort to understand our customers, and since the acquisition, the relationship to the EEG customer base more deeply. I'm confident this will improve our conversion rate with the upsell and cross-sell opportunities that presents. We're already seeing some of that.
Right, thanks, Olivia. Question for Megan from Nick Harris at Morgans. The size and scale of AI media has increased dramatically in the last 12 months. Do you think the current core platform can handle big volume growth for a few more years, or do you potentially need to re-architect the tech platform for the next step change?
Yeah, look, the answer is a little of part A, a little part B. We're actually really lucky. The platform we have right now is coping well, is scalable, and is fun. We do not need to re-architect it. Yeah, we need to add CPU, memory, storage, all that boring stuff. But it's really it's coping really, really well with the scale, and it's not about to hit any ceilings, which is the important thing. And so the other good news, though, is that we're constantly looking to, not re-architect. We don't have a big bang that we need to approach and rewrite this whole thing because we're about to hit any ceilings. But we do have, with our acquisitions, components that overlap. They've got similar functionality where we can, we're in a lucky position to be able to pick the best of two different platforms, for example, and do it in such a way that we really focus on what's going to be best for the customer, I suppose. So we are going to improve our platforms. We are going to do re-architecture. We are going to do continuous improvement, but we can do it in a nice, calm way. There's no upcoming chaos. We don't have to, rush because we're going to hit a ceiling or anything like that. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of both. We will do re-architecture. We will try and keep our stuff modern and up to speed, and we'll use the best of everything that we've got. But there's no need to, right? It's all handling the scale and everything quite well.
Right, thanks. And just a follow-up question from Nick to you, Megan, as well. The Microsoft integration seems like a big deal. How difficult was that integration, and how does the end customer start using AI media to caption when using Microsoft Teams platform?
Look, the good news here is it wasn't that difficult, right? And that's one of the beauties of the technology I think we have. We've already integrated with other platforms, and so it was just another platform. And now it wasn't quite that simple, but it's not like we've spent years working on this. There was no real massive engineering efforts or anything like that. It was just another integration, which was very nice. As for how do we, really, how do people start using it? I'm going to throw that one to James, I think, to say how are we going to sell that one and get the most out of it. Again, it's the same as captioning what we're doing today here, right? The captioning integration with all platforms. It's similar. It's the same, and that's what we're trying to do, is to make it quite easy for our end users and our captioners, quite agnostic. So there's nothing particularly challenging there.
Yeah, the way I see that this integration is that it's opened up another huge opportunity for us. Tony said 250 million users on Teams, and we've had requests throughout, as Teams become more popular and more widely used through the pandemic. We've had requests for direct captioning from premium captioners into Teams, and until now we haven't been able to offer that. So this actually opens up a whole new sales channel for us, and we have lots of work users, people in the workplace who require captions, and I think a key message here is that customers still want choice. And Microsoft recognized that they had an automated captioning service that was available, but there are certain customers that want premium, or they have certain types of meetings that have particularly difficult content or multiple speakers, whereby premium captioner is going to deliver a greater accuracy of that content. So yeah, really excited about this. Again, the other thing is that the integration offers capability in languages that aren't necessarily available in Microsoft's auto captions. So yeah, it's a big deal for us.
Right, thanks, James. And just to clarify on that one as well, is the integration and the availability of AI media on Teams live now, and how will AI media earn revenue from this?
Yeah, so I think that Microsoft has rolled this out to certain accounts as a pilot. I don't think they have a full public rollout to everyone that uses Microsoft Teams yet. Basically, there is public documentation available on Microsoft's page of kind of everything for users about how the feature looks, how to turn it on in your account. And that can be used to get the side of it that's on the customer side done, to make sure that they have an ability to take captions from our platforms. The sales channel for that would go through AI media and through our traditional ways of selling. So there's really not a new system there. I think if this has been easy, it's mostly because we've delivered to many platforms before and we're good at it. But it comes in, this comes in fairly similar to a request for us to do one of the channels we do already directly, like, for example, Zoom or WebEx. In the past, if someone said, I use Teams, we would be steering them to our AI Live platform, which is a kind of meeting channel agnostic standalone viewer that you can use side by side or in a little screen capture with something like Teams or, for example, Google Meet, which still, is lacking a third-party feature. So we have solutions for those as well. I think having a better feature in there in Teams is going to boost some opportunities. It's going to boost awareness that you can do this. And it's a little bit better than using an out of Teams viewer, which is what we would have had to do with these customers before. And building on what James says, I think it's an acknowledgement that first of all, Microsoft heard from their customers a desire to work with AI media, and maybe not only AI media, but AI media and in general, the type of expert transcription specialist company generally that we represent. Microsoft realized, hey, this entire universe of service providers is not going to be consumed completely by a free ASR tool. So they heard that from their customers and they've responded to their customers' needs. And they put us in on this pilot. And I mean, obviously some large customers came to them and pointed to AI media as being an expert that you want to, pilot this with. You want to get their opinion. You want to make sure it works with AI media. So, that's an honor as well.
And just to build on that, because we were involved in anticipation, we've already built out customer user documents so that our customers, when this Microsoft do go live, our customer base will be able to utilize it immediately with a really step-by-step guide. And we're also pushing that on our social channels as well, so that we're helping gain awareness that this is something that we offer.
Great, thanks, Olivia. And Bill, just a question from Ken Behrens. Could you please provide any color on Falcon and Alta with respect to whether prospective customers are seeing an impact from shortages? Could you substitute with a hardware sale if required?
Well, so the Falcon and Alta are the more virtualized platforms in the roster. So those are, with Alta, for example, you can run that. We can ship a server either kind of EEG assembled, or you can use, well-known brand like a HP ProLiant or servers like that. We can provide that to customers as a virtual machine for their on-prem virtualization facilities, or we can deploy that direct to public cloud. So I think in a lot of cases, those software solutions are going to be very flexible to customers being able to scale up, scale down, deploy it kind of in any season without respect to something like component shortages. I know in the broadcast industry, there have been some concerns about ability to, some vendors have a 3-month lead time or something like that. And that's been a problem with broadcast equipment on-prem. We don't really have a problem to this date or anything that's really foreseen making the EEG products. I think it's helped us that we have a pretty tightly integrated and onshore manufacturing capability for those products. So I don't know that we've been drastically affected by this. I mean, certainly if a customer can't get the network switch they need for 3 months, that certainly is going to delay certain kinds of installations. I do think that, the industry is marching on. Captioning is an absolute requirement. I think any sales that are delayed through that, we are capturing eventually 100%. But to be honest, I'm not sure that's actually even been a major headwind at any point to date.
Right, thanks, Bill. Just a question from Christian Angelis at CCZ. Are you finding any success in selling the SaaS and premium services through the ICAP network opportunity?
So the ICAP network opportunity essentially is the total number of minutes that are carried across the EEG infrastructure, whether it's physical or virtualized, as Bill said. Now, still, about 84%, Bill, I think, is being delivered outside of Lexi and Smart Lexi. But given that, Lexi was only born like 2.5 years ago to have captured 16% of the US broadcast market, at this point, I think is a great testament to the work that you and the team have done, and to see those minutes up 75% year on year probably really talks to the value proposition. But I think it's certainly something that we're working on. But Bill, maybe you can color in the lines a bit, because this does mainly reflect the US broadcast market and that traditional sales platform that EEG have.
Yeah, I think we have a really good proposition there, because customers that have the EEG equipment and have used it before with a variety of other caption sources, primarily traditional human captioning services, have an opportunity at this point to kind of instantly trial what we can do with Lexi and Smart Lexi. We don't have to ship anything and deal with mail delays, component delays, any kind of delays. I mean, we can trial this to one of the hundreds of customers with these EEG encoders installed in line in a broadcast plan. We can trial this right away. We can trial it now, and we can trial it again next week if we want to trial something different. So I think we have a pipeline to the customer that any would-be competitor in this space doesn't have that kind of pipeline and needs to make a totally different kind of investment in how they're delivering the service to the customer and how they're getting the demo even installed and operational. I mean, we're able to do this with kind of, I think, instant realism and credibility. So in that sense, I think most of the Lexi sales that we do, you can definitely attribute them to the strength of the network and the strength of the infrastructure position. We've also seen it in some cases work the other way. We've seen a customer who actually really wants the Lexi captioning and who understands that to do so, they need to buy a new broadcast closed caption encoder. And if you're doing 200 hours a month of captioning, the amount you're going to save on captioning if you're able to move to a Lexi approach, that's going to pay off that caption encoder in only months. It's really going to be a no-brainer. So I think having the two of those put together does provide a synergy that can be kind of bulletproof, and you can actually even, you can mix and match the human services and Lexi. Other providers of human services for captioning are really kind of, they have challenges where the customer asks, what if you have a shortage of workers? What if you have a technological problem delivering from your main plant? What if you assign us a home worker and the home worker can't reach the equipment? And the solution for all of that can really be Lexi when we need it. Maybe we're happy with a vendor we're using and we don't need Lexi 24/7, but you can have Lexi when you need it. And there's really not a lot of fixed costs behind that. So I think that's something that we're taking advantage of already, but can continue to build, more fully into the sales plan as well, is that Lexi has that flexibility to be always deliverable.
And the ICAP network is really the distribution platform that sits on top of the hardware, be it physical or virtualized. And I think that's really been, the genius behind the EEG business model, is actually getting that distribution platform in place, because it's all very well to talk about automatic speech recognition solutions, but you actually need a platform that can take the audio in and deliver the captions back and have it appear on a TV set. And that goes back to the earlier question of, do you have any competitors in this end-to-end space? No, because 100% of the market over there in the US is actually reliant on the distribution platform that we now own.
Yeah, you're in lockdown, you can't access your plant. You can actually trial Lexi anyway if that caption encoder is already in there. Nobody needs to touch anything.
Right, and just last question from Nick Harris at Morgans, just on live broadcast and sport captioning. Tony, you mentioned AI Media can lower customer captioning cost by around 50%. Is that number after including the customer setup costs, etc.? E.g. after customers spending money to do whatever they need to do differently to provide a cleaner feed for your ASR?
Yeah, that's after that. So again, as Bill mentioned, it's a pretty clear business case for people to do that re-architecture and that investment. And in fact, when he talked about it going both ways, that second way was exactly what Sky News have done. So Sky News actually took this opportunity to say, okay, well, we're going to now deliver Smart Lexi at half the hourly price of what the premium service was delivered at. And therefore, there's a business case for us to actually completely re-architect our broadcast playout system. And they actually, moved broadcast providers. They threw away all of their own inserters. They added the EEG kit. And this was all part of a real partnership between us and the customer to really, upgrade their captioning distribution architecture and allow us to put the SaaS solutions on TV for their viewers. So yeah, and then yes, Smart Lexi is 50% of the hourly price of the premium service.
I think Tony, sorry, go Bill.
Oh, I'm not sure, you know, the last question was about cleaning up the audio, but I think for most broadcasters, there isn't really a lot of a cost add surrounding that. It's something where if you're producing your own content, you already have separated audio and you can really use that, you know, probably for as close to free as you could really imagine. In some cases, you know, if you're importing a content package from an external content provider and it already includes audio and it's all packaged up and the audio is all mixed, you know, you maybe just in some situations don't have the ability to really fundamentally change that package. And we work in those environments too. That's not the very best environment for delivering any form of captioning, but obviously you work with what the broadcaster has. And I think that, you know, in the end, I don't think that's an issue that is fundamentally changing the economics for the customer.
Yeah, only to add on a kind of a point that came up earlier about where having EEG as part of the AI media ownership has proven successful in an end-to-end sale, and I think Sky News is a real example of that. In that, you know, we had solutions and would have provided solutions to deliver, you know, a smart ASR product for them, but they recognised that purchasing the EEG equipment and reorganising their infrastructure actually puts them in a better position for future growth as well. So as our products evolve, as our technology evolves, they already have the infrastructure and the kind of distribution network to take advantage of that, and won't have to go again to really kind of reorganize and repurchase.
And that's also you know, was a strategic decision that they made in collaboration with the senior leadership team effectively at Sky News, to also say, well, if we do re-architect this, we're going to actually have access to those captions so that it can make it easier for our journalists to actually find content, and can massively improve the efficiency of their team. And I think, you know, one of the quotes that we had from them was that, you know, to thank us for our collaboration here, and the journalists can get on with being professionals and not do a whole lot of manual searching and sliding for content. And you know, that's sort of part of this sort of you know, overall trend, I would say, that we're seeing in the market, where people are looking to get more and more value out of that transcript, more and more value out of that voice data. And as Bill said, right, like, you know, the art of taking notes is kind of a lost one. But if we can, you know, continue to build on, you know, what is really accurate captioning and transcription data, then we can do more and more, and our customers can do more and more with that data to improve their own workflows. And the flexible system that we've developed with this broad umbrella of kind of sub-silo is the kind of new product family that's going to help our customers get the most out of their data.
Great, thanks, Tony. That concludes the Q&A. I might pass it back to you just for quick closing remarks, and we'll finish up there.
Thanks very much, Simon. Thanks for emceeing, and thanks very much to our investor base for coming along. Hopefully you've had a great opportunity to meet some of the team behind AI Media, certainly the leaders, and there's a number of great members of the team, obviously, that feed into this. Thanks very much for your support, and we really look forward to the next journey this year on what is going to be a real transformational year for the business. Thanks, Simon.